Level up your LA Kings experience with Vivid Seats Elite Seats. All the on-ice Kings action with even more exclusive access and rewards. Enjoy great seats to the game in Section 103 along with Yamava Club access and parking included with your purchase. Plus, get a free Team LA Kings shop item at the game. Score your Vivid Seats Elite Seats tickets today and earn perks on each purchase from the only leading ticket company with a rewards program. Experience it live with Vivid Seats, the official partner of the LA Kings. Did you know the LA Kings have their own culinary partner? It's Superfood, celebrating 10 years and over 1 million meals served. Since 2020, the Kings have trusted Superfood to fuel their players. Now through Simply Lunch, you can bring that same performance-driven food to your office. Because when people eat better, they work better. Visit mysuperfood.com. That's mysuperfd.com. Or call 213-973-6145. Qualified companies can enjoy a free lunch for up to 10 managers.
You're listening to All the Kings Men, the official podcast of the LA Kings. Now, here's your host, Jesse Cohen.
All right, it's Monday morning. That means it's time to do a King of the Week. But of course, it's been the Olympics, so there's not much to talk about. Joining me to help me talk about it, Zach Dooley. How are you doing today, Zach?
Jesse, I think this is my first King of the Week this year.
Is it? I feel like we've...
Maybe we did one.
I'm not going to look it up, but I feel like we have.
That's fair. Well, I'll take the special edition one.
Yeah. So this one is going to be a bit odd, because it's the Olympics. So there's only 5 guys to talk about to begin with, and I think I'm going to create a 4th category for King of the Week.
Okay.
Which is unfortunately, there's nothing to talk about. So I'm just going to get it out of the way and just say, like, unfortunately, we just can't talk about Kevin Fiala in this episode very much because he got hurt. And it's not like he played poorly. It's not like Switzerland didn't have a great showing. They did. But Kevin Fiala, unfortunately, was injured. And we'll talk about that, I feel like, much more in the coming weeks and months than we will today.
And that sucks, right? Like,
it absolutely does.
Jared Shaffron and I talked with him before he went over to the tournament, and you could just tell how excited he was. He's one of those guys who always goes to world championships. The Swiss team does that more than most because of the pride that they have. They're a smaller group, but they were probably had more chemistry than any other team going in because they all went to the world championships like so often. And to see him go down that early and have it be that serious, man, it just sucks.
Yeah, and it's funny. Funny is probably not the right word, but listen, I'm of a certain vintage, as I like to say, which is just a nice way of saying I'm old. But so I saw a lot of younger fans reacting to the injury, and I felt there's that meme out there with a clip from, I think the movie is Buster Scruggs or whatever, or there's the Family Guy as well, where somebody says, "Oh, first time." And the other, it's like, I can remember the 2006 Olympics. I think it was 2006, where the Kings sent 5 or 6 guys and 3 or 4 of them got injured. And there have been other Olympics where other players have been injured. And everybody understands that one of the drawbacks of international competition is the potential for injury. And certainly if I were a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, right, I would also be upset because Sidney Crosby also sustained an injury. Other players sustained injuries, but we're Kings fans, and this is a Kings program, and we're talking about the Kings, and the Kings only sent 5 players. And, Kevin Fiala was the second leading scorer on the team, and they're now without his services, and it just stinks. And Switzerland, other than that, I think was one of the bigger upset stories of the tournament, right? Like, I mean, I think they finished 4th. No, I guess Slovakia finished 4th. But
they made it to overtime, right? In the quarterfinals.
I mean, Switzerland
they had it. They were up 2-0, and that's without Kevin, who's a top 3 player on that team.
They had a way better showing than I think anybody would have expected.
I think that's fair. I mean, especially when you say, like, okay, this team has under 10 NHL players, and one of them who's one of your top 3 guys goes down in game 2. You're like, okay, maybe that team's, maybe it's not their time, but they go on, they win another game. They push Finland to the brink. Like, they were really in the mix for sure. So I agree. Like, it was cool to see them do so well.
Yeah. So
and they should still be set up right next time.
Yeah,
it really does.
Like that's all, it's all. So anyway, so that's out of the way. It's a shame, unfortunately. Maybe that's the category. It's a shame. So then, then we move into our honorable mention. So who's your honorable mention from the LA Kings for these Olympics?
It's an interesting one because there's three. Obviously, the Darcy Kemper didn't play, right? He was on Team Canada. He earns a silver medal, and it's great that he made the team, but he didn't play, so he's not going to factor into these three categories. That leaves three players, but also one wild card. I think we could throw in there, depending on if you feel so inclined. So maybe I'll throw him in here, and I'm going to give my honorable mention to Mike Buckley.
Okay,
who is a part of the Team USA coaching staff. He's the goaltending coach for the Kings, the goaltending coach for Team USA. He obviously didn't go too far out on a limb by starting Connor Hellebuck in the gold medal game as maybe the best goaltender in the NHL, but he was a part of that Team USA staff as he was at Four Nations. Coaches do not get medals at the Olympics, but he is a champion right at this highest level. He's in the team photos. He's on the coaching staff among, Mike Sullivan and that group. And it was really awesome just because, we've talked to them a couple of times. He's such a good guy. He had a lot to say about goaltending. He's very, very thoughtful when it comes to, talking about the position. Could tell how much it meant to him to go to the Olympics as well and bring his family along with him. So it's really cool for a guy like that who you don't talk about a ton. So I'm going to give him my honorable mention as the only King who went and will come back as the champion from the tournament.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. And, it's funny when you're talking about, and Jim Hiller referenced it when we spoke to him after practice today at Toyota Sports Performance Center, because he was asked about, Mike Buckley and the performance. And I think the phrase he used was, it takes a village to make a hockey team, which is right.
Yeah.
Spin on a it takes a village meme. But yeah, because Darren Granger went and, there are tons of people go over there, whether it's coaches or staff or medical staff or whatever. And yeah, they all contribute. And of course we'll never know about it. And if you aren't the fan of a team who sends a Mike Buckley, maybe I don't know who the Canadian goaltending coach is. I don't know who the Swiss goaltending. I don't know who any of the other goaltending coaches are, but I do know Mike Buckley. So yeah, congratulations to him for winning a gold. It's got to be quite nice, frankly.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, my honorable mention is going to be Adrian Kempe. And honestly, it's funny. This week, this process of King of the Weeks is probably going to have a lot more to do with team than individual performance. At the start of this thing, I expected Sweden to medal, and they didn't, and they didn't even get a chance to.
Same.
So, Sweden has an incredible team. Adrian Kempe had 5 games played, 2 assists, and was just had his number pulled up, and now I've lost it all.
And 2 goals.
Yeah, and I think it was a +3.
Definitely on the positive side of the ledger, right?
He did his part, right? I don't think you can criticize Adrian Kempe for what he did over there. Unfortunately for him, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points, +3 is what I've got here. And 4 penalty minutes, neither here nor there. But unfortunately, his team didn't medal, and so he didn't get a chance to shine on the brightest stage. And so I'm giving him my honorable mention.
Here's the thing, too. The finest of margins, right? It was a consolation goal in that Sweden-Slovakia game that put Sweden outside of the seeds and into the play-in round because of goal differential. If they won 5-2 as they were leading instead of 5-3, it would have changed the game completely. It's just that close at that stage. And you're right. He didn't get the chance to play in the medal round, which is unfortunate. I think we all would have said, okay, the big 4 teams are the teams from 4 nations. So those are likely, if everything goes according to plan, the teams that you would see in the medal round. Didn't happen, with Sweden losing to Finland and things being what they were. So, he was impressive, I thought, in that game against the United States. I had a couple of friends who were texting me about it, and they were just worried that Kempe was going to win it. He was the guy that they had cued in on as he looked dangerous out there. But ultimately he didn't. bows out in the quarterfinals, this probably won't be his last Olympics. He'll still be, you'd like to think, very much, a key player for this team in 4 years. And, hopefully he gets the chance to play for a medal that time, because I feel like it's something he deserves with the kind of player he is.
Mm-hmm. And, this is now, listen, full disclosure, I was rooting for Team Canada in the gold medal game. The States won gold, Canada won silver. So I hope that I covered myself by tweeting out what I tweeted out before the game went into overtime, which is, I think, and I genuinely believe this, there's a certain threshold in the Olympics and in international tournaments where we're not really learning anything. Like, we're just playing a tournament, and there's a small handful of games and things break the way they break. And Sweden's a perfect example. Like, you can't tell me if the Olympics aren't repeated 100 times that Sweden doesn't medal more than 50% of the time, just because it didn't happen this one time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They didn't, but so what? They're still incredible. And if we were to run the Olympics back, they'd still be favorites to medal, and they'd still be really good, and they still have an incredible team, and all those players are still great. So that's my honorable mention. You're a runner-up then, Zach.
My runner-up is Drew Doughty.
Mm-hmm.
Had the chance to become, the first player of the NHL participation era to earn 3 gold medals. Mm-hmm. Would have been joined by Sidney Crosby had Canada won. Instead, he becomes a still very well decorated international player with 2 gold medals at the Olympics and 1 silver. This year, he's won the World Cup of Hockey. He has won the Four Nations, won the World Juniors. Like, Drew Doughty wins a lot of stuff. He'll probably be an IIHF Hall of Famer one day down the road once he retires for all of his success with Team Canada. This obviously wasn't the Drew Doughty tournament from 2014, right? It wasn't, he was on the all-tournament team that year. He was the big guy on the blue line. I think he was probably the number 1 defenseman. I'd have to look back, but I have to imagine he was in that usage conversation. Mm-hmm. Like, he was at his peak. He was in his prime. That was peak Drew Doughty. Best of the best. He was the best of the best, right? Different role this time. He was kind of a 4-5 guy during the group stage. The first few games was more of a 6-7 guy. In the medal games, it felt like when Canada was winning or tied, he was out there. It felt like when Canada was trailing, he wasn't. They went with more of their puck-moving guys in that scenario. Lot of coverage from throughout the tournament. Frank Seravalli did a story. Scott Burnside did a story about his impact in the room. Guys said that he's that guy for that team who, when things would get tough, he was the guy calming things down, keeping everybody where they needed to be on the bench. Part of what Drew even said he was going to do, right? He's going to go be a guy in the locker room, whether he's the first guy or the 7th guy on the blue line. He's someone who can help in that area. And it was good to see him get a medal. I know hockey is one of the sports where it feels like you don't win a silver medal as much as you lose a gold medal, whereas in a lot of other sports, you're clearly winning a silver medal. You could see how Team Canada felt about it after the game. There were no smiles on that team, right? It was gold or bust for them. But you know what? It's Drew Doughty's 36. He got to go. He played every game at that age and contributed most nights. So good on him. It's great to see him continue to be able to play on that stage at this point in his career.
He was also my runner-up, and again, it comes down to team performance, right? If Canada had won the gold, he becomes the king of the week for me. And the biggest takeaway for me, obviously in the gold medal game and in the semifinal game, he played less than 10 minutes, and I think that had a ton to do, like you said, with the coaching decision when the team, he sort of took on the Brandt Clark spot when the Kings are the opposite. It was the inverse of the Brandt Clark spot, right? Like when the Kings are when the Canadians were chasing a lead, Makar got all the minutes, and when they were defending a lead, Doughty got all the minutes.
And you saw him though, right? Last minute of every period, he was the guy on the ice
absolutely
every time.
Out there. Yeah. And the one, I will say this, I think he acquitted himself well, because the one moment that I really noticed him was giving up that goal in I want to say it was the Czechia game.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was like, oh, and it wasn't even that he played the spot poorly. I just remember thinking, 10 years ago, he was so good that he would have stopped that.
And it's crazy is that was the play where Czechia had
exactly. eight guys.
Yeah,
so it was like, I was watching it and I was like, it was the only time where I sort of went like, oh, huh, that's, man, wow. I'm sort of used to Drew Doughty coming up with a bigger stop there. And then 30 seconds later, I'm like, oh, right. Cause there's 8 dudes on the ice and and you could see him looking at the ref going like, he, and I think I can't remember the other player. Maybe it was Celebrini, but like there were 2 guys on Team Canada who were clearly waiting for a call. And maybe weren't even playing the play right as necessarily locked in as they would have, because it was very clearly too many men on the ice. So like, given that was like the one negative spot, and then I thought the rest of the time I thought he looked pretty good. And listen, I understand that there's not a single player on Team Canada today. We're recording this on Sunday the 22nd. I get it. You know, you can see the look on Nathan McKinnon's face when he's handed the plushie and the silver medal, and like, yeah, those guys don't want silver, they want gold. I get it. And, you know, so I understand, but hopefully 40 years from now, when Drew Doughty's looking back at his career and talking to his children and potentially grandchildren, it'll be, you know, however many Stanley Cups he winds up with, however many other international medals he winds up with, 2 gold medals, 1 silver medal, you know, all the accomplishment, it just becomes another, right? Like nobody looks back on it and goes, Olympic silver. Well, what's the matter? Weren't good enough. You know what I mean? Like, right. And also, this is just me being Canadian, but to lose, quote unquote, to lose the gold in an overtime 3-on-3, and you're not even the one on the ice. Like, what are you supposed to do? You know, like, it's not his fault.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think we'd probably both agree that, like, there's no way that game should have been decided 3-on-3.
No, I really dislike the 3-on-3.
Obviously,
yeah,
right?
The 3-on-3 was, I thought, not great.
Same with the women's game. They should have both been 5-on-5.
Yeah.
Till the end.
I don't know how the IIHF or the IOC or whoever set the rules. I'm not sure how that process was reached, but I had a lot of, you know, and I think I saw Steve Dangle saying, like, even the coach's review, which caught me off guard. I hadn't read through the reviews, but I was watching, I guess it was the Canada-Finland game.
Yeah.
With the offside review late in the game. And I it just felt very NHL to me to have a review.
Yeah.
And I was just like, since when do we do, like, what are we doing? And then the 3-on-3, and even today, you know, so I woke up at 3 a.m. to drive to my friend's house to watch the game at 5 a.m. And so the game goes to overtime. And, you know, my friend had us over, and so he obviously made food for us. And in the first and second intermission, we were running upstairs because we were watching the game downstairs in his house, and his kitchen is upstairs. And so we were running upstairs to get food and come back and time it right so that all of us could, you know, have our bagels while we, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, and we're sitting there having this conversation amongst ourselves of like, well, how long is the intermission before overtime? Because it's 3-on-3, and there are elements of this that are very NHL. So is it like a dry scrape and then straight into overtime? Do we get a full 15 minutes? Like we couldn't figure it out. So yeah, I thought, but nonetheless, Drew Doughty acquitted himself. It's not his fault. Canada came as close as you can come to winning the gold without winning the gold, which is overtime in a single elimination game. And I thought Drew Doughty was great, and so he's my runner-up. I guess we'll obviously have the same King of the Week then. So you're King of the Week, Zach.
So if you said before the tournament that the LA Kings would have a player in the top 5 in tournament scoring, I would have said, okay, that's plausible. Either Kempe went off or Fiala went off.
Yes, right.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you would have said, like, okay, like those guys on their teams are going to play top line roles.
Sweden somehow won the gold, and Kempe was the MVP of their team. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And so Switzerland played, you know, a couple teams in the group stage. They played teams where you're like, okay, you could see
maybe Switzerland had a hell of a tournament and won bronze. Like, no disrespect to Switzerland, but I wouldn't expect them to make it to the. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
Super plausible, right? That scenario. But neither of us ever would have guessed
Yeah.
Joel Armia.
No.
Obviously. And I'm sure you know, like, I'm a huge fan of Joel Armia's game.
Yeah.
I think he's been an incredibly pleasant signing made over the summer. He's been a great fit with the Kings. And to see him out there impacting games the way that he was, to see his analytics, like Mike Kelly shared a stat of just like how good he was in those first few games. His 3 points in the bronze medal game, one shy of a tournament record in the NHL era. Man, what a tournament, huh? Like, he was impacting. He's just so impactful.
This is one of those insanely dumb stats that shouldn't exist because it has 2 degrees of, differentiation on the stat, but also it's like it requires a certain step down in paying attention. But I believe it's the most points anybody's ever had in a bronze medal game.
Oh, okay.
Which is like
before was a gold medal game.
Yeah, which is you're just like okay, I guess, but yeah, no. The fact, I mean, just so spoiler alert, I also have Joel Armia as my king of the week. But yeah, 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points, +7, and to lead Finland in scoring, right? Like not only be top 10 in the tournament, but to lead his team, which on a team that has some, like, no disrespect to Armia, but yeah, there's some heavy hitters on that Finland team
who had points too. They were like 6 or 7, like a lot of those guys.
I would not. Yeah, if you had told me that Armia would be top 10 and lead Finland in scoring and be the highest scoring king, I would not have believed you. Also, and again, this has more to do with team performance, but Finland winning a medal shouldn't be a surprise to anybody because Finland is always the team that never gets talked about. Until whatever tournament it is, the World Championships, the World Juniors, the Olympics, whatever tournament it is, nobody ever talks about Finland. And then smash cut to the last few games of the tournament, and it's like, oh, look, there's Finland again. And I'm using heavy air quotes here. Nobody knows how they do it, but of course, everybody knows how they do it. They play a very distinct style of hockey. They're all very, and it's funny. Armia is kind of like the prototypical non-scoring Finnish player, and yet he was the leading Finnish scorer. So yeah,
just like if you, from him. It was awesome, right? And you look at like, okay, he got, he had 3 points against Slovakia in a blowout. He had 2 points against France in a blowout. But if you were like, okay, how could this guy impact a game against Sweden and a game against Canada? You'd say, okay, well, he's an elite penalty killer. And Sweden, he scores a really good shorthanded goal.
Yeah.
Canada makes that great strip on the wall, chips it with the guys going against the grain. It springs the breakaway. So he gets a shorthanded assist, like 2 shorthanded points in a tournament. Like, that's just exactly his game.
And let's just look at the top 10 scorers. Connor McDavid, Macklin Celebrini, Raymond Lucas, Juraj Slafkovsky. I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce that guy's name. Juraj Slafkovsky.
Lucas Raymond.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you. Lucas Raymond. Sorry.
Raymond Lucas.
I'm reading, the names are reversed on the IHF.
Oh, you're right. They are.
I'm just reading them left to right. And my mind understands that McDavid Connor is not his name. So I was like, oh, yeah.
And Raymond is that's a legit first name.
So yes, but Connor McDavid, Macklin Celebrini, Lucas Raymond, Juraj Slafkovsky, Martin Necas. Joel Armia, Quinn Hughes, Jack Hughes, Nathan McKinnon, Timo Meier. Most of those guys coming out of that tournament, I've already seen, like, what can the league expect out of Connor McDavid now that he's, only got a silver. And, we all know that, like, Macklin Celebrini's future is bright. And obviously the Hughes brothers, it's like, okay, they've had this tremendous tournament and now they go back to their teams and, like, what's it going to look like and everything. And Armia is a player that I don't think ordinarily would be in that conversation, but you and I were talking about it at practice today. Like, the sky is literally the limit coming back to LA for Armia. The coaching staff he clearly has the full confidence and support of the coaching staff. The roster is such that I wouldn't rule out any spot other than right wing or left wing 1 for Armia. Everything else is theoretically on the table for me. Unlikely. I wouldn't expect him to replace Laferriere at number 1 center, but not impossible. Not a 0.
He's not replacing Panarin. You can rule that one out.
No,
right?
That one is out. But listen, he's a right-handed. He shoots right. He's played center for the Kings this year. Not quite as much as Laferriere, but close. Now, keep in mind when I say possible, I'm talking like 0.0001% chance, but still not zero. And after a tournament like that, he comes back with, who knows, confidence. Who knows? So I was just like, yeah, like the rest of the season is like, genuinely, I don't know. Armia we could be in for a whole new Yoel Armia, or he could just come back, kill penalties, play in the bottom six, and just do exactly what he was brought in to do, but do it expertly. Like, I don't.
What if he came back and was just like, I want you to call me Yoel again?
No problem for me. That's what I call
He said, he's like he said he would prefer Joel. So then it's like, okay, he's Joel. And then he comes back. He's like, you know what? I liked how I performed as Yoel at the international tournament. I like to be Yoel now.
I think I've told this story before, but I shared an elevator. I don't remember which game it was this season, but one of the games, Robert Long attended. And Robert Long, former King and former Capital, and I can't remember whoever else he played for, but in his career went from Lang to Long to Lang to Long. And I actually asked him in the elevator, I just said, like, hey, I'm really sorry to do this, but is it Robert Long or is it Robert Lang? And he laughed and he cursed and told me not to go there. And I was like, well, all right. So yeah,
my favorite still is like Thomas Caberlet and Franistek Caberla.
Yes.
Brothers who pronounced their last name differently.
Yeah.
And it was insistent. I know like Rob Koch, who's our team services guy with the Kings, used to be with the Thrashers when Franistek Caberla was there. And he said the story of that's what he said his name was. So it was Caberlet in Toronto and Caberla in Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it am what it am. But yeah, so Armia is obviously, first of all, congratulations, Yoel Armia, King of the Week. Or King of the Olympics?
Olympic King of the Week?
There we go. Yeah, that's better. Olympic King of the Week. But again, it's funny because he's not here in LA practicing with the team. We're sitting there watching practices, and he and Perry occupy this. Well, no, that's not true because Perry's out there. But Armia currently occupies this space where, and I asked Jim Hiller point blank, like, where do you see him slotting in? And the answer was, well, I'm not entirely sure. And so we're out there, we're seeing different players fill in for Kempe, but we obviously know where Kempe's space on the ice is.
Yep.
And obviously Armia has a spot. Like there's no, I don't think there's a version of reality where he returns and isn't in the lineup.
The only one is if he's hurt, right? Like if he picked up a knock in the tournament and he's out for a week, if he's healthy, he's in.
Yeah. And certainly we're not aware of anything like that as of today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I think Hiller said today he'd be at practice on Tuesday, right?
He said Kempe for sure. He said he hadn't talked to Armia yet, but he believes he likely will be there. I think it's literally like if he talks to him, he's good to go. He's going to be there.
Yeah, and he'll be in the lineup Wednesday and Thursday. But the question remains where. And like we've been watching practice, and so we have some sense of where everybody fits in. But to Hiller's own words, they have more players than roster spots, which is generally how teams operate, right? Because you're allowed to carry 3 extra players. So every team should, in theory, have more players than roster spots. But this team has. The issue is that Ward and Malott have earned spots despite the fact that they were unexpected, which means that there are guys who were expected who would also occupy those spots. And so we're looking at practice and we're seeing Kuzmenko, Turcotte, and Perry, and Fogle, Hellenius, and Ward. And it's like, well, okay, if Armia comes in and takes one of those spots, somebody's got to go, and Kempe is taking another one of those spots because whoever is filling in on that top line, whether it's Malott or Ward, I've seen both. So yeah, you're just like, all right, well, I don't know who it is, but somebody's got to make way for Armia because he's not a healthy scratch player.
No, he's closer to supplanting someone from the top 6 than he is from the press box, right?
Yes,
like
exactly.
that's where his game's at. He gonna be in.
Yeah. And I was, I don't know if this is arrogance or solipsism or what, but I was listening to myself, recordings of myself talk I was listening to previous episodes, I was just listening to my own takes. And, one thing that I said that I kind of believe, which is, and I think it's especially true of this Kings team over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. There's no way to have foreseen it, but the acquisition of Panarin and the loss of Fiala means that this team is so very different than it was at the end of the Vegas Golden Knights game at the beginning of the Olympic break, right? Like the Olympic break will be bookended by games against the Vegas Golden Knights. It's the last opponent before the break, the first opponent coming out of the break. And it's such a different team.
Yeah.
And no games have been played. And we'll have a very limited amount of practice with the full roster available for the Vegas game. And I don't know what to make of any of it. Like I have no idea how to what's the phrase when you set odds for something?
Like bookmake?
Yes, thank you. I don't know how to. I just don't know, right? Like, people are asking me.
Handicap?
How do you handicap? Yes, thank you. Handicap. Yeah. That's the phrase. Yeah, thank you. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea what this team will look like, what it'll be, how good it'll be, who will be good, how they'll beat and it's weird because right, Vegas coming out of the Olympics obviously will have a bunch of guys presumably not in the lineup that first night because they have half their roster, it feels like, participating in the medal rounds. But yeah, I don't have a read on any of it yet.
Same.
And then there's the trade deadline.
Yeah.
So 5 games later. So it's like,
and it's so close, right? Mm-hmm. Like if the trade deadline is that thing that's like, okay, it's been in the distance for so long that you just continue to think it's in the distance. But it's kind of like the break, right? You're like, oh, it's the break. The break's the break. In reality, the Kings play in 2 days, but it still feels like the Kings play after the break, but the break's over.
Jeez, it is 2 days, isn't it?
It's 2 days till the Kings play.
I hadn't even done that. Yeah, you're right. Oh man.
And it's what, 11 till the deadline? Like it's less than 2 weeks till the deadline, which it's just a thing in the distance until it's not, and all of a sudden it's not. The Kings play 5 games between coming out of the break and the deadline. That's not a lot of time to get a sense for, as you said, a team that's very different. It's not the team that it was going into the break or the team that it was expected to be coming out of the break, because you essentially swapped Fiala Panarin, where you thought you were adding Panarin onto Fiala. That's not, I mean, it's extremely negative. Obviously you'd much rather have Kevin Fiala. I guess the silver lining is if you can add a player or choose to, you can add anyone you want without worrying about cap, because you have Fiala's number that won't be in the mix. I guess that's like the silver lining. Obviously, there's not much positive to that situation, but there's just so much that could happen in those 5 games. And with the Kings being where they are, I mean, the margin for error is very thin, right? This isn't like, you can ease your way back in. Like the Kings got to hit the ground running. And if they don't, they hit that trade deadline probably not in a playoff spot. If they don't come out and win at least 3 of those 5 games, they're probably outside of the playoffs coming into the deadline. So then, I mean, what moves do you make if you don't win at least 3 of those 5 games? Like, what do you do?
And what is the cutoff for making that decision? Because they have 2 of those games back to back. So, let's say,
and it's a 3 and 4. So it's like,
right,
by Saturday they've played 3 of those games.
And then there's 2 days off between the Colorado game March 2nd and the Islanders game March 5th. I think, right? If that's my calendar is correct.
I believe you're correct.
So, like, let's say they go 2-2 in those games.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 days off before one game and then the deadline. Like, I don't, and this is where, listen, I understand why the GM can't speak to the media every day. But when we have these media availabilities after these practices and we're talking to the players and we're talking to Jim Hiller, a lot of the questions that I feel like are begging to be asked, and I've even asked Hiller some of them, and the real answer is it's not his call.
you're talking to the guy who doesn't make that
Yeah,
decision.
so like I would
Which is
love
tough.
I would love to know all these answers, but the reality is
Yeah.
like it might not even be Ken Holland's. Like it might not even be one person's call. Not, if it was one person it would be Ken Holland, but these are decisions that have to be made sometimes by committee, or sometimes there are, other things, you know what I mean? Like players have no trade clauses from, on other teams and on your team. Like, let's say you decided, okay, we've made, the agreements have all been made in place to make a trade. And then it turns out that one of the players involved has that team listed on a no trade list somewhere in some registry somewhere. Like there's all sorts of complications, and it's frustrating as hell because we've talked about this. I feel like we had a pretty solid idea of who this team was up until the day of the Panarin trade. With the knowledge that looming was like, okay, the trade deadline, things could change. But it was like, okay, I know who this team is. I know what's on it. I know what the coaching staff likes to do. There's a couple of weird things that didn't make sense to me, but I was like, all right, I know this team. And now I'm just looking at it going, all right, well, we can kind
for
of,
better or for worse, I don't.
Yeah, we can kind of throw the last 4 months out the window, which was funny because Jim Hiller was talking about that today. I think it was today. And he said, because a lot of the players were saying, it feels like coming back from summer, right? They said this practice is resuming after the Olympic break felt more like training camp than,
including Panarin.
Yes.
He said it's like joining a new team in the summer, not like joining a new team in season.
But as Jim Hiller said when he was asked about it, they don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
Like it's not the summer. You don't have a full 82 games to learn and gel and the chemistry to work. Like we all know what's happening. We all know, as he said, they're not, I think I love the way he phrased it today. He said, we're not starting from zero. We're behind.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's what it is. They're behind, and they need, as you said, they need to come out of the gate swinging. They can't afford to, especially those first 3 games against Pacific Division opponents. I know the third one is Calgary, and it's like, but those first 2 games, Vegas and Edmonton, those are 4-point games.
But you know what? Like the Calgary game, I mean, the Kings have struggled with teams below them. Like they've played down quite a bit. The Kings, I was looking at it with Dennis Bernstein today. 6 of the final 26 games are Calgary, Vancouver.
That's not great.
You got to win those games, right? Like you got to find a way to win 5 of those games.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get 10 points in those games. Like you just got to find a way to do better in those games.
And even
than they have this year.
Yeah, and even though Calgary and Vancouver are probably maybe not, well, I'd argue 2 of the biggest candidates to start shedding star players.
You'd think, right? Yeah.
They're still going to have guys that want to play spoiler roles. Right, they're still going to have pride, and they're still going to relish that role. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're right. That's tough. All right, well, that's going to wrap up this recap of the Olympics. Before we actually end it, I'll just ask you, how did you feel on the whole about the Olympics, the men's hockey specifically?
It was really, really exciting to have it back. Like the 4 nations, I thought was awesome, and it kind of got the juices going again. But it's like. And I'll be honest, that watching the group stage, I was like, you know what? The 4 nations was better.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of blowouts. The games weren't as intense. And then the quarterfinals hit. And that was one of the most fun days of hockey I can remember. Like 3 of the 4 games go to overtime. They're all big games. They're all competitive. The intensity is through the roof. I saw somebody tweet, and this is the best comparison I saw. It was like the Olympics in one day went from preseason hockey to game 7 hockey.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, it's so accurate. Like it was so great from the knockout round on. It was like, this has been missed, and hopefully the NHL finds a way to get this type of hockey on the calendar at least every other year. They find the World Cup in the middle and then the Olympics every 4.
What was really funny to me was as the Olympics were happening, I didn't watch, I didn't pay attention, but I'm aware that it happened. The NBA All-Star game happened.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, the NBA All-Star game adopted a world versus USA format for the first time.
I think that they did.
Yeah. And apparently was very well received. But what it highlighted to me was the difference between a gimmick and something that I don't know what the opposite of a gimmick is. But like the Olympics are obviously not a gimmick, right? Like the Olympics are their own thing and people care, and there's obviously staying power. And so all it made me think was like, yeah, the NHL needs to figure out if it's not going to be the Four Nations tournament, because at this point, I feel like it has to be more than Four Nations next time if they do something like that. I don't know if it's got to be 6 or 8 or whatever, but like, there's there were some teams out there, Switzerland chief among them.
Slovakia's got to be there, right?
Czechia. Yeah, like there's some teams where you're like, okay, we need to figure something out. And if there aren't enough guys, then I don't know. Maybe I don't know if it would be insulting to the Czechs and the Slovaks to have like to reunite Czechoslovakia for the purposes of an NHL tournament. I don't know.
Or you got to get with the European leagues and be like, we got to do this.
Yeah, because you can't do that Team Europe thing from the World Cup. You can't do that.
I hated it. Yeah, like it just was, it wasn't international, it just wasn't the same.
Yeah, but they have to figure something out because 3-on-3 all-star game where there's 4 different teams, 1 for each division, and it's all 3 other. Compared to this was nothing.
I'll suck it up every other year.
Yeah.
But
but there has to be something. Even if you just get the Olympic teams together to play darts against each other. I don't know. Just
something.
Just for the chirping each other, right? Like just to hear Matthew Tkachuk tell Leon Draisaitl that he's always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Do the whole tournament 3-on-3, but international. Then maybe they'd get up for that. Like
maybe,
try that. You know, like
but
something.
I mean, but it's just all it made me realize was like, oh yeah, we can't go back to a regular All-Star.
No,
like,
no.
Not in the year of our Lord 2027.
No way.
Yeah. So, well, hopefully they have the right people thinking about this because I don't know, but. All right, well, that'll do it for this one. You and I will speak again very soon. Kings fans, watch out for it because ordinarily we would do the top 10 questions, but as previously stated, this team is completely different. So in a departure from format, I have rewritten the questions. So rather than revisiting the top 10 questions from the start of the season, we'll just have a brand new list leading into the trade deadline and down the stretch, and Zach will join me for that one. So that'll be the next time you hear us. Thanks for listening, Kings fans. Thanks for joining me, Zach, and we'll talk to everybody soon.